Hey Chidori. How's it going?
私からか。もう覚悟決めたぜ。行ってくるぜ。
In actuality, Jessica was probably feeling the fear of a girl
Your
her age.
recognition honors me.
Hey! Hi, Des. Thank you so much for the subscription. That's so kind and generous of you. Also, your messages. Oh Lord. Hi Bea and hi Lord Wu and Bancho. Hi. This is the chapter. It's always this chapter. Okay. But she buried those feelings and strengthened her resolve.
用心してね。
私たちは監視されてんだろ。余計なこともできない。言いなりになるしかないさ。
食堂でジジイは何のためらいもなく瞬く間に6人を殺したという。それは俺たちに対しても同じかもな。
わかってる。返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
無茶はダメだよ。危険だと思ったら自分を最優先にしてクラウスおじさんが自分のために娘が犠牲になったことを知ったら胸が張り裂けてしまうに違いないから。
逆も同じだぜ。
Hey Yaya. Today's gonna be the one nothing can go wrong. Oh no. Oh no. Why is it that I have a pit in my stomach though? Oh, that's so nice, Pancho, that you managed to check the pods. Oh, that's so sweet. You could have listened to anything, but you chose to listen to this. Thank you.
父さんと母さんが殺されて、私だけが生き残ったら、私の胸だって張り裂けるぜ。
Yes, that's exactly that.
バトラ君、さっきの話は本当だよね。
ああ。キリエさんたちはもう覚悟を決めている。
なら、ナオのこと上等だぜ。みんなの命は私たちの双剣にかかってるってことだ。人質みんなは囚われの身で何もできない。なら、私たちが何とかするしかねえんだぜ。
もし何かあったらゲストハウスに逃げ戻って。その時点で僕たちがおじい様のゲームに付き合うのは終了だ。
兄貴。
その時点で僕たちは宣戦布告。どこかに閉じ込められている彼らを救い出し、おじい様には叱るべき処遇を与える。
Why does this get me emotional? It's so weird. I'm feeling so many things. We just started a couple minutes ago. Literally, we've been streaming for 3 minutes and a half. I'm having tears in my eyes and a pit in my stomach. What's happening? Oh god. This is the one when they seagull. Oh my lord. They would put the Neko in the Umi. Yeah, there's just something about the group of all of them together, like being determined and giving this like their all or something. I don't know, it just really gets me. Sorry. It's the seagull post-traumatic syndrome. Oh lord.
いいのか、兄貴。シャノンちゃんもいるんだろ。
だからといって僕は座して婚約者が殺されるのを待ちはしないよ。
Yeah, I can only imagine this. Huh? The cicada PTSD. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
僕が恐ろしいのはおじい様にシャノンが殺されるかもしれないことに、僕の婚約者に恐怖を味わわせたクソじじいを君らが僕より先にぶん殴っちまうことだけさ。
Oh my god, George is fired up.
なるほどな。確かにこいつは次期当主が誰かを決めるってテストらしいぜ。
No, he's definitely entering some sort of higher plane than he's been operating at so far. Yes, I can at least acknowledge that. Wow.
だな。
His line was in italics. Okay. He was dead serious. uh...
クソジジイの顔面に一番最初に拳をお見舞いしたやつが
George, Butler, and Jessica each forcefully nodded their heads and put their fists together. Oh man. Then Jessica headed off to her own room, as designated. Her form disappeared into the darkness of the rose garden, which was shaking in the violent winds. As they saw her off, George and Butler hardened their trembling fists. Hey, Zeku! Jessica is fighting for her dad and her beloved Canon. George is getting fired up to rescue Shannon and avenge his parents. Butler is... well, he has nothing better to do. His dad is dead and the only mother figure he has is trapped as well, so he has plenty to do as well. Jessica's back was watched through the window by Maria, who had remained upstairs. Her expression was blank.
みんなは何を息巻いてるのかな
Yeah, no, we're all gonna go to the Golden
ベア
Land.
トリーチェが蘇れば、みんな生き返らせてもらえるのにね。
Jessica's form had already been completely swallowed up by the darkness. At that time, the phone began to ring again. Butler and George heard it and came clamoring back, but Maria picked up the receiver right away.
もしもし。
マリア様ですか？シャノンです。ジョージ様に代わっていただけますか？
This time it was Shannon on the phone, and the purpose of the message was to tell the next person, George, where he was to go. This time for sure. Oh my god. This chapter. It's alright. It goes without saying that since the time she was born, Jessica was raised in this mansion. The Western-style house that the cousin simply called the mansion was her home. And yet she had never understood her cousin's feelings as much as she did today. And at the same time, her own home, which she knew well, had never felt so different a place as it did now. Her own room. This had once been her personal hideaway, the only place in this vast mansion where she could feel at peace. However, that door had never felt as intimidating as it did now.
テストだって。ち一体何が待ち受けてやがるんだ。
I'm so scared.
まさか私の机とか引っかき回してねえだろうな。
I can't imagine what it could possibly be. My mind is drawing a blank. She acted tough, trying to deceive herself. What if it's math? Trying to make herself believe that she wasn't scared of anything. She readied herself and opened the door to her room. When she saw that, fortunately the room didn't appear to have been messed with, she relaxed. No one was there. Of course, there was nowhere for anyone to hide here. Right away, Jessica locked the door behind her. Now the room was safe. Oh, Lord. Yeah. The next head to roll, maybe. She peeked under the bed and in the closet, but of course no one was hiding.
なんだってんだ。
Locked room, what can go wrong this time? Yeah, she locked it herself. Nobody can get in. Then it's no place for anyone to hide. Everything is fine. She looked at the clock. 10 past 11, or just a little past that. As her tension lessened and fatigue came back to her entire body, she realized how messed up this whole day had been. It was still only 11. The plan had been for all the cousins to get together, have fun playing around, and talk animatedly about all kinds of things together into the night. Normally, we would have been doing that kind of thing at this very moment. Why was that turned into this?
全部あのクソジジイのせいだ。よくも母さんをみんなを
Her head was swimming with anger and sadness, but there was no one here to direct those emotions at. Because of the lock, this room's security was guaranteed. It's phrases like this that... Remembering that one more time, Jessica somehow regained her calm. Guaranteed! If it keeps up like this and nothing happens, Jessica thought that she would like to go to the dining hall and see her mother's last face. No. No. Even though Gola had emphasized so strongly that it was gruesome and that she definitely shouldn't look at it, even so she wanted to see her mother's face one final time. I can empathize with the feeling and the yearning, but no. But they had been warned repeatedly that doing anything stupid would put the hostages in danger. Could it be that locking the door was also against the rules? If I close myself up in here, I alone might be saved. But if I don't open it, it will surely be against the rules, and that Kanukun, Shannon, Auntie Kiri and Dr. Nanjo will be killed. There's no way the scales balance between 5 lives and my own 1 life. Jessica tightly shut her eyes, resisting the other part of herself which said, "Isn't it alright as long as I survive?" Headed to the door and made to unlock it. Just then, a crisp applause rang out, making Jessica's heart leap. Applause? Nothing is guaranteed till Lambda says it is.
鍵をかけたままならルール違反ということになり、人質たちにも危害が及ぶかもしれません。しかしそれでも自分の命だけは助かるかもしれない。しかしあなたはその誘惑に耐え、自ら鍵を開けようとした。そのあなたの勇気は称賛に値しますよ。
I, the owner of this room, had searched to make sure there was nowhere any human could have been hiding. Where had this man? There was nowhere for a human to hide, but could something that wasn't human have managed it? I was pretty sure this was my first meeting with this largely built, middle-aged man. I did not recognize this guy, who looked like a butler and bore the seal of the one-winged eagle.
はじめまして、ジェシカ様。私は親方様より家具頭を任されております。72柱の27位、ロの上と申します。
ロの上、源氏さん。
ああ、源氏は私の弟のような存在。あるいはこの世界における私の正しい姿だったのかもしれません。より白だったと言っても良いでしょうな。
何を言ってんだ。
おっと、これは失礼しました。人間には話しても理解できぬ話。それでは本題に移りましょう。
クソジジイの言うテストとかいうやつだな。
さようでございます。こちらが親方様がジェシカ様に賜れましたテストでございます。
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Jessica basically had my reaction to Ronoe that I had when he appeared. I was like, that sounds like Genji's name. Okay, he gave that explanation. I don't know what it means. But okay, sure. They're related somehow. Connected, better said. At Ronoe's elegant gesture, like that of a butler ordering for the meal to be set out, many gold butterflies flew up out of nowhere. The swarm of gold butterflies spun around, forming a small swirl as they gathered in one place. Then that gold mound disappeared like a pile of leaves blown away by a cold wintry wind, and there lay a western envelope with the one-winged eagle crest done on it in gold leaf. Yeah, it doesn't fit at all. Ronoe gestured to her to pick it up. Jessica timidly picked it up and opened the letter inside.
なんだ
Yeah,
非
envelopes
常にシン
everywhere.
プルな次期当主の資格を探るテストでございます。そこに記されている問いに、どうか後ろ宮家を担う次期当主としての心構えで臨んでいただき、
Can I roll my eyes into my head?
答えとそれに至ったお考えをお聞かせください。
Shaking, Jessica looked back and forth between the paper and Ronoe's face several times. The wildest speculations? I don't know. I don't know. There's no way I could put myself in the shoes of Kinzo or Beatrice or any of the crazy magical people and anticipate what they would do. I don't know. I can't. It's probably something super ridiculous. I mean, judging by Jessica's reaction, I would probably have the same reaction to it, because I seem to be quite in tune with her. At that time, George, who had been called out after Jessica, could be seen in the arbor of the rose garden. He had been planning to give Shannon the ring that would be proof of their engagement, here, tonight, at this time, if things had gone normally. Must be how many laughs Beatrice had in the last 4 episodes. Ooh, too many. Infinity. Ah. But the woman in front of George now was not Shannon.
読みなさい。それがゴールドスミスからあなたに与えられるテストよ。
Let me guess, he's gonna be annoyed as heck as well. 1,500. George picked up the western envelope on the table where he had once drunk tea with Shannon and read its contents. Perhaps its message was short. After a single glance at it, George's eyes grew sharp.
なんだい
Some pet goat trivia? What? What did Njisi she saw love? Oh, Lord.
これは
見ての通りよ。それがあなたに与えられる次期当主の資格を探るテスト。次期当主としての資格を自らに問いながら、その問いに答えなさい。
なんてバカな問題だ。
そうね。本当にバカな問題ね。なら、ゴールドスミスにとっての後ろ宮家の家督なんて、その程度のものなんじゃない？
I can't. George lowered his eyes to the surface of the letter once again and examined its contents. George and Jessica. While the tests given to them were slightly different, they were almost exactly the same.
以下に掲げる3つのうち2つを得るために1つを生贄に捧げよう。
In order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. Is it about people?
簡単な3択じゃない？
How many stomachs do goats have? The correct answer is 4. Okay. Interesting. I did not know. Or like I hadn't stopped to ponder about it, but yeah, it makes sense. Out of the 3, sacrifice 1. Is it about the others?
どれを見殺しに選ぶか、自ら決めなさい。選択を拒めば、テストは中断。私の手で あなたをこの場で殺してしまってもいいって許可をもらってるわ。
It's definitely something heavy, like it's not just like a philosophical question.
それさえも選択肢に含めるなら4択ね。私、君みたいなこと遊ぶのは随分久しぶりだから、それも嫌いじゃないわよ。
この3択はあくまでもテストなのか、それとも選択は結果を伴うのか。
何を甘えてるの？君が選択したものは必ず命を落とす。
Among the three mentioned below, in order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. Your life, Shannon's life. Ah, okay, so like other... Everyone else's lives. Wow. Everyone else's lives. Like... like alluding to, but like your and Shannon's lives, they're just 2. Everyone else is just, there's just more of them, so but then there's not really a fourth option, because there already is embedded in this the option to not choose your own life, right? Anyway, if you don't choose one, all of the above will be lost.
どうして
okay, fuck.
シャノンの名がここにあるんだ。
2番目の選択肢にはそのものが最も必要とする愛する者の名が。ジェシカへのテストの2番にはカノンって書かれているはずだわ。
How many stomachs to go to? はい。
このバカな問題をジェシカにも出したのかい？
ジェシカのことなんかどうでもいいでしょ。今試されているのは実に簡単な3択だわ。
But why is battlers gonna be different?
他の2つのためにどれを捨てられるかということよ。簡単でしょ。それでも決まらないならコインでも貸してあげようかしら。
Okay, what happens if George chooses to sacrifice his own life and Jessica also chooses to sacrifice her own life? Then it can't be fulfilled, right? Or is it just that the choice to sacrifice their lives is gonna be fulfilled, but it doesn't matter that the other 2 actually will not be fully saved? How does that work? Wow, my brain is entangled. Okay, great.
コイン2面しかないものでどうやって3択を？
自分の命を捨てられる者がいるわけがない。
Yeah, well, that's probably something that you got very wrong about humans.
となればおのずと残る選択肢は2つになる。
Well, naturally to you, maybe.
愛する者のために全ての人間を諦めるか、一人でも多くを救うために愛する者一人を諦めるか。
The natural answer for a demon.
どっちにももっともらしい大義名分がつけられるわ。だって今やこの六軒島は悪魔の島ですもの。人間の世界の甘ったるい馴れ合いなんて必要ないの。誰も責めないわ。あなたの心の赴くままに後ろ宮家の家督を継ぐにふさわしい資格が自らにあるかを問いながら、いいえ、自らが後ろ宮家当主であると思って選択なさい。
バカにしやがって。
We all know what Kinzo's answer will be. Beatrice! That's what the answer will be. Jessica crumpled the letter up and threw it on the floor.
お怒りはごもっともと思いますよ。
Yeah, Jessica.
私も非常にお気の毒で。
自分から死にたいと願う人間なんているもんか。そして愛する人の命を見捨てて生き残りたいと思う人間なんてそして自分たちだけ良ければ他の人間全てを見殺しにできる人間なんているもんか。
Exactly. Thank you. Like I said, Jessica is me. I don't need to say anything. She's saying it.
いいえ、ジェシカ様。いても良いのでございますよ。ここは六軒島、悪魔の島。
Or that's what you want us to believe.
今や人間の世界から完全に切り取られ、魔界にどっぷりチーズフォンデ
Please
ュの
do
よう
not
に沈
involve
んで
cheese
おり
into
ます。
something like this. No. Cheese is pure. Cheese is not. No. 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 I draw the line at cheese. Look at you, cheese.
人の世の価値観など、次の燃えないゴミの日に出してしまいますと。
I do not have the words to explain just how upset sentences like these make me. Like, oh, we're the demons and everything goes and we're so above and beyond the human world, it can just go to the trash. Fuck off! Goat cheese is very good, yes. They have one cow and one goat and goat has to make cheese every year. No, come on. I've been upset at the murders and the child abuse as well, but yeah.
ですからどうかジェシカ様が心より欲するものを順にお選びください。その結果残ったものがこの狂った今宵にふさわしきジェシカ様の回答となりましょう。
ふざけるな。こんなのどれも選べるものかよ。
いずれも選ばねば上記のすべてを失うもう立派な第四の選択肢でございます。それを選ばれるのもまた一興でございましょう。ただそれを選び結局自らの命を落とされるなら潔く一番の自分の命を選び他の二つを救われた方が賢明かと思いますよ。すべてはジェシカ様の選択に委ねられます。どうぞ後宮家の跡継ぎにふさわしい回答とその信念をお聞かせくださいませ。この炉の上親方様の血を引きし末裔にふさわしき素晴らしい回答を心より期待いたしております。
くしょ
That scene was being observed through a magic crystal ball, because why not? Being held by Kinzo. Kinzo finally couldn't hold it back. Spreading his arms and facing the heavens, he began laughing in an explosive voice. Pondering orb me. Best Kinzo scene coming up. Best Kinzo scene for me still is to this day the one, possibly, very likely, genuine moment that he had with Natsuki in episode 1. That one. Was it episode 1? I think so, right? Or am I confusing? No, I don't think so. But yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. It's very hard for me to resonate with anything coming from him. Yeah.
何を迷うか、愚かなる孫たちよ、我が末裔たち。即答できる簡単な問題ではないか。朝のトーストにバターを塗るかジャムを塗るかより迷わぬ選択であるというのに。お前たちには正しい答えがわかるか？
He turned and stared wide-eyed at the Chester sisters who had been faithfully standing in wait behind him. My actually favorite non-me moment was his genuine innocent love confession to Beatrice in episode 2, where we had a tiny glimpse at the kind of man he once was. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't touch me. Like, his obsession has gone to that point where it's hard to, I don't know, find within me any drop of genuine appreciation for anything related to it. I'm just too put off by the whole of it. I love Cocaina Kinzo Sprite? What do you mean? Is that a meme that I'm not familiar with? Probably. Everyone has a magic crystal ball, yeah. I guess. Ah, the one with the eyes. Got it. Yeah. I didn't realize you could call it that, but yeah. Yeah. It's very unsettling to me.
愚か者め、選べもせぬとはな。ゲームオーバー。自らの生きる理由も目的も見出せん愚かなウサギめ。貴様など誰にも気づかれずに踏み潰されて生を終えるアリ一匹ほどの価値もないわ。死ね、潰れろ。お前はどうか。
私は一番の自分の命を生贄とするであります。武具は戦い、知ってこそであります。そして武具は敵を撃ち滅ぼし、味方を守るため、愛する者たちを守って死ねるなら本望であります。
ほう、武具らしい実に見事な模範回答よ。即答、大いに結構。そう答えれば人参が一本余計にもらえると教えられてきたのか。違うよな。それすらも違うよな。そう聞かれたらそう答えようと、お前はただ吹き込まれた通りに答えたに過ぎない。お前も今のウサギと同じだ。自分の生きる理由と目的を未だに見出せずに生きている。生きる価値なきクズめ。貴様など潰されて他の家畜の餌にでもなるのがお似合いよ。
I never thought I would be so upset on behalf of the Chester sisters, but I am. What the fuck?
はっ、家畜の餌光栄であります。
違うだろう。もう誰も死ぬところを見たくないんだろう。それがなぜ認められぬのか。認めろよ。お前の古傷の奥の奥が未だに産んで腐っていることを。腐臭にて鼻が曲がりそうであるわ。愚かなる腐れウサギめ。お前にはこれが褒め言葉である。
ありがとうございます。であります。
さて、最後のお前はどうか。この3択から何を選ぶ？
にひ、迷うことなく当然に。
おお、2番か。愛する者を生贄に捧げることを胸を張って選べる者は多くない。
She loves nobody, thus she has no one to sacrifice. I'm spouting nonsense.
わけを聞かせよ。
愛する者はいつかいなくなるからです。
Oh, okay, it's even sadder. Jesus
愛す
Christ.
る者がいなければ傷つかないし、いなくてもいつかまた誰かを愛せるかもしれない。
Oh my god.
だから今愛してる者なんて大した価値はないのですね。
Oh god. In a way, it is a twisted answer that might be on the same wavelength as Kinzo's twistedness, and at the same time, I'm pretty sure he's gonna find something about it to to like bully and insult her, and yeah, for sure, based for 10. Oh lord. Yeah, I don't think he would like it either, and at the same time, the twistedness of it is in line with his style of twistedness.
にひ
なるほど。それでそういう回答になるわけか。
There it is.
愛に傷ついたがゆえに臆病になったウサギよ。ウサギは寂しさで死ぬと聞いたが、お前の心は一体いつ殺されたというのか。ならばウサギよ、問いを変えよう。2番の選択肢を愛するものではなく、そなたが愛したものの思い出に。どうかこれでももう一度選べるか。
Why would anyone answer this bullshit with any sort of conviction? Would you? I would throw it in his face. Jessica and I, like I said, we are just saying, like, this is bullshit. Like, you throw something like that at me, and then you use it as pretense and or pretext to tell me just how lowly my life is and how I'm not worthy of whatever. Fuck off! I decide that for myself. What? Yeah, like I hear you when you say that the way they're answering might disclose insecurities and other things about them and stuff like that, but it's just the whole context is so weird and icky and just like, no. I don't know. The only reason why we care about the test is that there are hostages that could be influenced by the result of it. But nobody wants to pass the test to impress Kinzo or to hear words of reassurance about their decision making. I'm pretty sure everyone is quite secure in their own life philosophies and what is more important to them, right? Because there's just so many layers to making this kind of choice, right? It's exactly what Jessica said, but even more than that, like, what kind of loved one would be happy being left alive because you made the choice to sacrifice yourself? Like, you know, there's so much to unpack there. Like, do the people who are supposed to be saved by your sacrifice not get to have an opinion? Because they wouldn't feel good about it either. So it's all to stir trouble. Ugh. Ugh.
何が愛してるものに大した価値はないだ。愚かなウサギよ。自らの愛の深さにも向かい合えぬクズめ。選んでみよ。愛したものを忘れられると選んでみや。選べるだろう。選べるものな。ほら、選べるって言ってみろよ。
選べるであります。選べるであります。
ゴールドスミス卿、それくらいでどうかお許しを。
もうよいわ、クズウサギどもめ。お前たちはワルギリアのところへ行き、地下牢の見張りを手伝うのだ。消えよ。
The Chester sisters, their old emotional wounds gouged, disappeared as though running away. After that, even though there was no one left to hear him, Kinzo continued talking as though continuing a play.
と、このように愉快なテストなわけだ。実のところを言えば、これが正解という選択肢はない。むしろどの答えであろうともよどみなく素早く、そして確固たる信念と揺るがぬ強き自らの意志で選べるかどうか。
What human being with an actual beating heart in their body would look at a test like that and give an answer quickly, without hesitation, and with a resolute conviction and their own strong, unshakable will? Who in their right minds wouldn't have a reaction of being put off by that first? Like, what the fuck is this? The Ushiromiya head would. He can fuck right off with his head. The Ushiromiya headmaster. Maria? I don't know. I think that there are several things happening with Maria at the moment. Bless her heart.
その理由と意志の方が重要なのだ。私はそれを知りたいのだよ。ああ、我が末裔たちよ。お前たちはどのような答えを見せてくれるのか、実に楽しみだ。私か。ああ、もちろん同じ問いを突きつけられたことがあったとも。その悪魔の問いに見事答えたからこそ、私は黄金と名誉とあの魔女を我が物とすることができたのだよ。私が選んだ答えはどれか言うまでもないよな。
Beatrice! Yes.
さて、そろそろ答えは決まりましたでしょうか？
I don't know, is that a reference that maybe he chose to sacrifice everyone else and that's why the entire family died in that, what was it, earthquake or whatever thing was? Is that what it's trying to imply? Because he would definitely not choose to sacrifice himself or his beloved Beatrice, that's for sure. Ugh. As Jessica stared at the crushed letter which lay on the floor, she hung her head in constant silence. All that filled the room was the sound of the wind and the rain and the rustling of treetops. Regardless of how noisy that was, it simply made the silence more apparent. Ronoe waited for Jessica's answer. However, Jessica didn't speak. Whether she was deep in thought or had stopped thinking, Ronoe couldn't tell. No, he might actually have known. But cruelly, like a demon, Ronoe urged Jessica to voice it.
どれも選べないというなら、そのお命、せめて痛みがないよう安らかに頂戴させていただきますが。はい。
It's the way she said it. Oh.
聞こえかねました。もう一度お願いできますかな。
Jessica lifted her face and looked straight into Ronoe's eyes. It seemed that she had decided on her answer.
殺せよ。
Jessica said it one more time, clearly. Perhaps Ronoe had imagined from the very beginning that this would be the answer. Without any surprise, he smiled lightly and nodded.
ジェシカ様なら、そのお答えを選ぶと思っておりました。さて、このテストは、どの選択肢が正解、不正解というものではありません。重要なのは、どのような考えを経て、その答えに至ったか、という。さあ、ジェシカ様の、そして次期当主としての心構えを持って、それをお答えください。
別に、死にたくて1番目を選んだわけじゃないぞ。2番の、カノン君を死なせること、こんなの。もちろん論外。だから除外。3番の、その他みんなの命、こんなのも、もちろん論外。だから除外。そしたら、1番目の選択肢しか残らなかった。
消去法ですか。積極的にお選びになったわけではないと。
After chuckling slightly, Ronoe dropped his gaze. A human couldn't even imagine what kind of answer a demon would have been hoping for. All she could understand was that this was apparently slightly below Ronoe's expectations. Fuck those expectations. So sick of it.
悪くはありませんが、良くもない回答です。60点というところでしょうか。少し失望しましたよ。
自信を持って選べみたいなこと言っておいて、そうしてやったら失望とは自分勝手な野郎だぜ。
You tell him, Jessica.
消去法というだけではないようですね。いずれにせよ落第点ですが、もう少しお考えがあるようだ。伺いましょう。
死にたくないさ。だから一番なんて誰だって選びたくない。人は幸せに生きたくて生の限りをあがいてるんだぜ。だから本当はまず1番目なんてありえないはずなんだ。
しかしあなたは1番目の選択肢、自分の命を捨てることを選んだ。その選択肢しか
一応それぞれの選択肢を選んだ後の未来のことを考えてみたぜ。
ほう、いかがでしたか。
まずカノン君を死なせてみた。私は自分の大好きな人を見捨ててまで生きる残りの生涯を想像してみた。
それはどんな生涯でしたか。
生きるにも値しない最低の女だった。いつまでも自らの選択を悔やみ、ただ後悔だけのために生きる大好きな人を見捨てて生きることを選んだ最低の女なんて私には許せない。私が自ら引導を渡してやる。
勇ましい。では3番目の選択肢も考えられたのでは。
I think it's one of the bad ends or alternate ends in Steins Gate that is basically that choice. I think it is.
私とカノン君以外の全員を死なせても見た。カノン君はそんな私を好きになるはずはない。
If I'm not mistaken in my memory, it's actually with Rukako. So it's connected in a way.
そして私もまた、いくらカノン君がいても、そのために見捨てた大勢の命が生涯十字架となってのしかかってきた。そしてその十字架はカノン君にまでのしかかった。私はカノン君に十字架を背負わせるために愚かな選択肢を選んだりはしない。もしそんなことをする私がいたなら、私はその未来の私を許さない。その女にも私が引導を渡してやる。
Jessica had pictured it in her mind. The future her beyond each of the three choices. There were three Jessicas. Of the three, two had regrets. Only one could hold her head high and smile at Kanon.
私さ、 生意気にもカノン君に説教したことがあるぜ。自分の人生を思い切り生きてみろ。
自分の人生を思い切り生きる。味わいある言葉ですね。それは意外にとても難しいものです。
だからさ。
Yeah, but normally in regular circumstances, living your life to the fullest doesn't come at the expense of someone else dying. Okay? So it's a completely different thing.
私が胸を張ってカノン君に見せなきゃならないんだよ。胸を張ってお天道様を真正面から見て思い切り笑顔でいられる生き方ってやつを。
あなたの自己犠牲をカノンは受け入れられるでしょうか。あなたの身勝手な選択が余計に彼を傷つけてしまうことには。
だから伝言を頼みたい。
ほう、お聞きはしますが、何しろ私は悪魔です。約束は守らないかもしれませんよ。
守って約束。
Jessica spoke that, looking quite unconcerned. She had asked the demon who was about to take her life to pass on a message, and she wasn't thinking for a moment that she would be betrayed. At that extremely innocent smile, Ronoe closed his eyes lightly and shrugged his shoulders. Yeah, take that! It's too bright for your dark soul and wretched heart, right?
いいでしょう。それで彼に何と伝えればよろしいですか？
カノン君の思いっきりの人生を生きて。ちょっと違う。カノン君のじゃない。本当の名前は未だに教えてもらえないけど、本当のカノン君の人生をそう伝えて。お嬢様。
ジェシカ、お前というやつは。
炉の上は気まぐれですから、伝言をしなかった可能性もありました。幸運でしたね。私がこの光景を見せていて。
I'm still not gonna like you, Virgilia, but okay. I guess it's cool. Given the circumstances that are very uncool, but okay, let's set that aside. A musty three-sided mirror was set beyond the bars, and the scene with Jessica was reflected on it. On the next mirror, the scene with George was reflected in the same way. None of them questioned how a three-sided mirror had appeared from a group of butterflies, and why Jessica and George were reflected on it, because the reflected sides themselves were more important.
そこまで。こいつのために命をも投げ出せるというのか。
For everyone's sake, hello, you were also included in her choice to keep you alive.
申し訳ありません。
Kraus looked at Kanon with a complicated expression that had an awkward smile mixed in. Kanon couldn't meet his eyes.
ワルギリア様、お嬢様が命を落とされることはありません。僕を殺してください。2番目の選択肢に。それで、全ては丸く収まるはずです。
Yeah, but here comes the other part that I mentioned that was beyond Jessica's words. Like, how does a lover live with the idea that the person they cared the most about in the world sacrificed themselves for them to live? Like, how do you live with that? Again, what's the life beyond that? That's yeah.
その願いを私に叶えることはできませんよ。これはジェシカの選んだ自らの選択。
Suddenly the air split and the Chester sisters appeared, flying into Virgilia's chest.
私だって頑張ってるのであります。
Step 1, become seagull. Step 2,
そ
cry.
して家畜の餌とかあんまりであります。
I think you don't need step 1 to do step 2. Still without a clue what was going on, Virgilia was smothered by the sobbing Chester sisters.
はいはい。大丈夫ですよ、大丈夫ですよ。泣かないで、泣かないで。美味しいお紅茶を入れてあげますからね。
Virgilia being a mom again, I guess. No, but like none of these reach me. I'm sorry.
お前たち、ここの見張りを任せます。
After episode 3, it's just no.
不審な真似をしたらすぐに知らせるのですよ。
The goat attendants all looked at each other and nodded their heads. Virgilia took the Chester sisters and left. The sound of people going up a set of stairs could be heard, so they had probably gone to an upper floor.
チャンスだわ。このヤギ頭どもは頭が悪いみたい。うまく騙せないかしら。
Kiria read it right. Kiria realized that an opportunity had arrived, but she still hadn't thought of a way to break the metal bars. The Jessica reflected on the three-sided mirror closed her eyes as though she had given up. The way she had both hands stuck into her pockets, wanting to be defiant until the very end, might have been her own kind of aesthetics.
私の言い分は以上だ。殺せよ。
わかりました。それでは。ご安心を。あなたへの死は、どんな眠りよりも優しく、慈悲深いものにいたしますよ。
Ronovi raised his palm as he slowly approached Jessica.
くそー！
Realizing that his daughter would be killed, Kraus repeatedly body slammed the metal bars, going half mad. The goats looked like they were sneering at how a mere human didn't stand a chance at breaking those bars. I am so done with them looking down on the humans. I'm so upset right now. I can barely contain it. And true, Kraus's pointless effort might have been comical, but Kraus was giving it everything he had. As Jessica's father, he was living in that moment with everything he had so that he could save her. Yeah, right? Canon made tight fists with both hands. If he used his cursed power, he might be able to cut through even metal bars. But there were a full 3 goats. There was no way he could defeat 3 of them in an instant. It would instantly be reported, and then Virgilia and then the Chester sisters would dash in. Though he may be able to break the bars, he could do nothing more. It was useless. Canon knew already that the witch was sneering at that kind of useless effort. So he could do nothing but stare at Kraus's repeated body slams. Shannon, who had been looking at the three-sided mirror, let out a voice. They looked to see that George, who had been silent this whole time, had raised his head. It seemed that George had also decided on an answer.
"Kimatta? Kimi no kotae."
ああ、決まったよ。
それは揺るぎない答え？
ああ、揺るぎないね。
なら、聞かせてもらうわ。ああ、ちなみに、ジェシカはどうも、自分の命を差し出すことを選んだようよ。
Why is she reporting what Jessica is doing? Ronoe wasn't reporting what George was doing. So, what's happening?
まさか、優柔不断な君も、同じ答えを選んだって言うんじゃないでしょうね。
ジェシカは、ジェシカの答えを出したのさ。それがどの選択であろうとも。それはジェシカの答えだ。僕の答えに何も干渉しないよ。
Good, George, good.
そう。なら改めて聞くわ。以下に掲げる3つのうち、2つを得るために、1つを生贄に捧げよ。1、自分の命。2、シャノンの命。3、それ以外の全員の命。あなたが選んだのは、まさかジェシカと同じ1番？
違うね。
へえ。
Gap looked a little surprised, because she had thought that a timid-looking man like this would never choose any other option.
ならよかったわ。私にとって一番退屈な選択肢が外れてくれてよかった。じゃあ、まさかとは思うけど、シャノンの命を。
まさか。今夜まさに婚約指輪を贈ろうという相手を、どうして僕が。
これは大胆だわ。それが君の答えなの。
そうさ。僕の答えは3番さ。
George had chosen the third choice. Everyone else's lives. Even Gab hadn't been able to imagine that answer. She had been sure that he'd choose number 1, just like Jessica. So she became interested in how he had reached that answer. How he had reached an answer that had defied the imagination of the 33rd ranked demon of the 72. Blah.
聞かせてほしいわ。自分と愛する婚約者だけが無事で、それ以外の全てを犠牲にできる境地というのは、あなたもジェシカと同じで。
違うね。はっきりこれしか僕には選択肢がないのさ。
自分さえ良ければいいと
I don't think he's necessarily devilish.
愛する女と引き換えに世界を犠牲にできると。
君は何を言っているんだい？
何？
George faced the demon as he spoke, looking at her almost in disbelief.
僕は今夜ここシャノンを呼び出し、婚約の証である指輪を渡すつもりだった。僕とシャノンの婚約を祝福しない者もきっと多いだろう。僕は彼女との婚約を宣言することで、親族すべてを敵に回すと覚悟、僕にはあるんだよ。この島に訪れたその時から。いや違う。彼女に婚約したいと打ち明けたその時からね。
結婚さえできれば他の何もかも犠牲にできると。
That's a bit of a generalization.
結婚とは、自分は生涯妻の味方であり続けるということだ。僕にはその時点で彼女のために世界の全てを敵に回す覚悟があるんだ。
Those words, through the three-sided mirror, also reached Shannon's ears, and his determination reached her eyes. Shannon suddenly had arranged with George that tonight she would be given an engagement ring. Then this incident had occurred and she hadn't been able to receive the ring. But now, even though it wasn't in form of a ring, Shannon had received something even greater. And as proof of that, a single tear with the same sparkle as a diamond dripped down.
それは何とも振るった答えだことね。なるほど。よく考えたら、
Hi.
君にこれは気楽
I
な
was
選
about
択
to
肢だ
say,
わ。
did I miss you in chat earlier, or did you just make your entrance directly with a reply written in code?
だって、君の両親は第一の晩にすでに殺されちゃってるんだもんね。今さら君にとって死んで困る人間は誰もいない。
Enters in spoilers, yeah, something like that.
なるほどね。これは簡単な選択だったわ。
I will shut up. I will keep it in.
何とでも言うがいい。これが僕の、そして僕の次期当主としての覚悟と選択だ。
The sparkle in George's eyes was brilliant and sharp. For just an instant, Gab felt the same sense of intimidation that Kinzo exuded and was slightly overpowered. How do I feel about George after this? Well, I was already intuiting that he wouldn't be choosing the first option. That would be too repetitive and also like George's personality is not necessarily the same as Jessica's. I don't know if he has like some, like there's a hidden layer to this where he doesn't believe or has some idea of a way for people to not actually get murdered. I also can't imagine that he truly, fully believes in his heart that Shannon would just be happy after this and that they could just emerge from the situation alive and live a happy life together. I can't imagine that he actually thinks that, because this is so against Shannon, who she is, that it's incompatible. But I do understand where he's coming from in the idea that he was already on the track to kind of distance himself from his family. And it's right. Although I'm so annoyed at Gab, because she's like, oh, I know exactly what you're gonna say, and then he says something else, and then she's like, oh yeah, I know exactly why you said that. Yeah. Like, no. No, I don't think this is something that came to him easily. But I do understand this perspective of like he was ready under normal circumstances where people's lives weren't threatened, and I guess the members of his family would feel the, I don't think entitlement is the correct word, but just would feel that it would be absolutely right to completely cut ties and banish him from the family or whatever if he wanted to marry a servant. In his heart, he had already cut those ties, if only by way of thought, just by making this decision to get engaged to Shannon. So I can understand the way he is emotionally distanced from the rest, and this is priority number one for him. So I don't blame him. I am way more on the same wavelength as Jessica. Like I said, she was saying everything. I didn't need to comment on anything because I was her and she was me earlier. But I don't necessarily blame George either, if that makes sense. If I was born Ushiromiya, I would choose the same. To be completely fair, aside from the situation where it's a matter of life and death and people are kind of like jolted awake, let's say, to the importance of each other's ties, like the ties between each other, and like the fact that, you know, they're a family and that's something precious. Under normal circumstances, they can and have been shown to be complete assholes to each other, to the point of, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if after this, George would have been like dead to the family. So, yeah. It's my favorite episode overall. It's just so dense with some of the best character moments, tons of mystery, and just journey. It's just incredible. I guess all of the things that you guys can gauge are from a lot of hindsight. To me, it's just turning on the stream and being like, okay, what the heck is this novel gonna throw at me today? Yeah. It's hard to pick up things in between the codes, so but I think I haven't missed anything. I hope so. Like I said, I think it was last stream or 2 streams ago, enjoying and loving, they're such hard words to use. But I do agree with you that it makes for very juicy conversation, and it brings to light a lot of insightful and very well put together character moments. I agree with that. About loving and enjoying it, I don't know, because I'm here in pain and crying my eyes out.
あどけなさそうな顔して。将来はとんだ悪魔になるわけね。
There's also something to be said about the decision to fiercely protect the one you love the most in dire circumstances such as these. So George choosing like, no, I'm just gonna protect myself and Shannon, and this is the most important thing, number one to me right now. And if I have to set aside the rest, I have to set aside the rest. Because this is life or death. So I get it. I can't blame him.
なんだ、私たちとてもうまくやれそうじゃない。君がゴールドスミスの後を継ぐ。そしてやがては私は召喚され、君に仕えることもあるかもしれない。それも案外面白いかもしれないわね。
Gap needed to change her opinion of George. This man bore a determination and resolve unimaginable from his outward appearance, and had not adopted that just now, but had possessed it since the very beginning.
僕には今すぐ当主を継承する覚悟がある。いや違うね。君はこのテストを当主として考えろと言った。だから僕は自分が当主であると前提して答えたんだ。いや、それすら違う。当主そのものとして考えた。僕は今、後宮家の当主なんだ。
見事だわ。そこまで言えるなんてね。君はどうやらかなりの大物だわ。バトラとマリアのテストはまだだけど、私は君が合格でいい気。でもその答えがかけねなしの本当のものならね。
僕の覚悟を疑うというのか。
He might have some mental calculations underneath there. Maybe something like, okay, if I answer like this, and this is the answer that they want to hear, then if I get the power to be the next head, maybe I can do something about things. I don't know. Something to that extent.
君が選んだ選択肢を実行できる？今すぐ自らの手で、この島に存在する全ての命を生贄に捧げることができる？自らの手でよ。
できるね。その覚悟はあると僕は何度も言っている。
ならば今すぐゲストハウスに戻り、バトラとマリアを殺しなさい。それが終わったら他の人質たちも連れてきてあげる。君の手でシャノン以外の全員をその目の前で処刑してみせるのよ。できるんでしょ？
できるね。僕の覚悟は君程度のそれとはレベルが違う。
ならば実行しなさい。全てに死を。新しき後宮家の当主としてこの血塗られた儀式の遂行を。
了解したよ。実行する。僕は今やもう後宮家の当主だ。
ええ、そうよ。自らの手でその玉座を赤く染めなさい。君は悪魔たちを滑る魔界の王となる。
Gap was now sure. This man was truly fitting to succeed Kinzo's madness.
吹けよ嵐、鳴らせよ雷鳴。
No, please. Oh god.
新しき魔王の誕生を祝うがいい。悪魔の島は今。
In response to the demon's call, the tempest raged more and more. Then a massive lightning bolt fell, its tearing thunder and brilliant light creating the feeling of just a moment of silence.
でさ、その殺害の順番だけど僕が決めていいわけだよね。
どうぞご自由に。新しき六軒島の魔王陛下。
Gap is really getting ahead of herself,
あ
isn't
なた
she?
の御心の赴くままに。
とりあえずさ、その一番目が
Yes, yes.
君になるわけだけ
I
ど
was thinking that he would say
いい
that.
かな。
Yes, yes, thank you. Because it's everyone else, right? A gust of wind blew, stirring up George's jacket as though it was a cloak. It was very much like the cloak worn by the head. It definitely gave the same impression of grandeur. At that time, Gap certainly saw the storm wiped away and the sky covered with a pure white and vast full moon. Bearing the full moon on his back, the man who called himself the New Had sneered at the demon.
後宮家親族のすべての命さえも今や僕の財
George
産
used
だ。
the Uno reverse, very good.
それに損害を出してくれた賠償。安くは済まないよ。まさか僕の両親に夏日おばさん、ルドルフおじさん、ローザおばさん、そして源氏さんの命を奪っておいて、この僕が見逃すと本気で思ってるのかい？
はは生意気よ。
We're back here, why? Ronoe had been intending to press his palm against Jessica's chest and stop her heart. But a short distance away, his hand had stopped. On the carpet at their feet, small red flowers bloomed one after another. The seeds of those flowers had fallen down from high, high above, all the way from Jessica's fist, held up as though to strike the heavens. Ronoe's nose was stained red with spurting blood, and those drops were dripping onto the carpet.
ちなみに、さっきのは乙女としての回答な。次期当主としての回答は別だぜ。
Oh, okay.
お伺いします。
大好きな人も、家族も、親族もみんな私が守る。私が当主なら、それは私の責務だ。お父さんは威張ってるだけじゃない。私や母さんを守ってた。後宮家を受け継ぐ重圧ってやつと何十年も戦ってた。
Yes, please. Give me a W for the humans because it's been so depressing.
だからわかるぜ。次期当主ってのはな、軽くねえんだよ。だからさ、捨てられるんだよ。自分の命くらい。
Jessica knew. She knew that her father, in order to protect his family, was even now bluffing and fighting a solitary fight. Jessica understood something that his back had been telling her. Another left straight was buried into Ronoe's face. That mighty strike wasn't due to just to the brass knuckles she was using. Ah, that's why her hands were in her pockets. Got it. It was a strike of a person, a family head, who could throw away everything in order to protect.
父さんが次期当主の資格を失ったなら、順当に次の当主は私が継承するぜ。
Jessica Brass Knuckles, yes.
後宮家当主、後宮ジェシカ。これ以上好きにさせるほどふぬけちゃいねえぜ。
素晴らしい回答です。先ほどの点数を改めましょう。その回答に10点プラス見事な左ストレートに。
ってことはあと20点プラスで100点満点だな。
Ronoe backflipped away from her and violently wiped away the blood pouring from his nose. It had become not blood but petals of a red rose. The blood on his face was wiped off, and in its place was a grin from a great delight which he had last felt so many centuries ago that he could no longer remember just how long it had been.
ジェシカ様の覚悟
Oh, God, I
満
love
点
her.
に値するかどうかこの炉の
うぜえぜかかってきやがれ
おいで奈落へ。
Beneath George's feet, the pitch-black pit suddenly opened its mouth wide. Of course, George had no way of resisting. After being swallowed up by it, George fell out of a pitch-black hole that had opened up in the ceiling of the arbor. As George fell down, he was hit sharply in the gut like a precision bee strike by a reverse roundhouse kick from a stiletto heel. Yeah, the music is on fire as always. Launched out of the arbor, the instant George thought that he was about to be swallowed up by a rose bush. Another pitch-black hole opened there and swallowed George up. At this time, a pitch-black hole opened in front of Gap at her feet, spitting the defenseless George out of it. By that time, Gap had already finished the preparatory motions for the next reverse roundhouse kick.
これは
おかえりなさい。
Right side of the head, below the right armpit, side of the right knee. As Gap danced and spun like a small cyclone, she kept hitting him right foot, left foot, left foot with successive roundhouse kicks. The fourth one became a sweep, cutting George's feet out from under him and making him fall down. But of course there was no floor there but a pitch-black hole, and George was swallowed up once again. Gap once again spun around like a small cyclone. George likewise was once again spat out from the ceiling of the arbor. Is this like playing with portals? Like when you have a portal in the ceiling and one in the floor and you're just constantly falling? Is that what I'm supposed to imagine? Oh lord.
食らって噛み締めなさい。奈落の終点が一撃。死ね！
The sharp strike of the queen bee pierced the heavens like a rising cyclone. It kicked through George's abdomen as he fell from the ceiling. And then time froze. George was pinned in midair by Gap's raised leg. Still pinned in midair, George moaned. Then Gap, with George still hung up on her foot, grinned.
認めてあげるわ。君の態度だけは一人前よ。でも力が伴わなきゃダメだわ。知ってる？この世を滑るには3つの力が必要だそうよ。一つは権力、一つは財力、最後は何か知ってる？
本で読んだよ。暴力だ。
正解。君にはそれが足りないわ。
Gap finally released George by kicking him upwards one more time, adding in another roundhouse kick and smashing him into a pillar.
権力を伴わない王者にも、財力を伴わない王者にも、そして暴力を伴わない王者にも、人は誰も恐れない。金蔵はその3つを兼ね備えたわ。
And look how well life turned out for him. Can we have a round of applause? He had all of that, and he had such a great life. 2 thumbs up. Yeah. I mean, the point just makes itself. You're saying the quiet part out loud. Much success, very well. Kinzo is clearly a man from the Fortune 500 cover.
だからこそ
Kinzo
暴
best
君
girl.
として君臨した。君も金蔵の後継者を名乗るならば、その貫禄を見せてごらんなさい。
And look where that got him. He has a family which he completely hates. The person or thing or entity or whatever that he loved is not there with him, and he spent most of his life just yearning for her. And all of the material possessions, now that he is dying, what good did they do? Great, 10 out of 10 life. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
ほら、いつまで寝ているの？立ちなさい。じゃないとまた落ちるわよ。
悪くない動きですよ。しかしレディには少々ふさわしくないかと存じます。
Unsuitable for a lady. Jessica laughs at that.
いやー、ひょろひょろとちょこまかと反撃してこねえのかよ。なめてんのか、うぜえやつ。
Renoa was dodging skillfully, jumping back and avoiding Jessica's fists, but he still wasn't striking back himself. Because of his agile movements, as swift as a flag wiping around in strong winds, Jessica's fist wasn't even able to touch him. Amidst the feeling of her blood running hot, Jessica regained her offensive composure. Even though this room was large for a bedroom, it was too small an area to keep up such exaggerated dodges for long. She calmly realized that and started using not just her fists, but her legs as well. Hey, thank you so much for the follow.
ほう、ボクシングは腕でやるだけのうちは半人前です。腕は熱く吠えたける獅子のように、そして足は冷たく獲物を狙って追い詰める蛇のように。
蛇に足はねえぜ。
確かに。
Jessica began cornering Renoa towards the wall with perfect footwork. She wouldn't let him get around her. Renoa's magnificent dodges looked flashy, but they needed sufficient room. Once cornered, he wouldn't be able to dodge anymore. I don't have much hope that either of them will emerge alive from this, unfortunately. Given what we've seen thus far, just generally when something like this happens, then something else comes up that's even more OP and just completely destroys the humans, because humans have no chance in whatever game board this is. But I gotta say, it feels really, really good to have them both stand up to them. This powerful weapon's most notable characteristic was how it didn't let the opponent defend. Even if they blocked with their arm, that arm would receive direct damage. If it hit the wrong way, it might even break the bone. So she pressed him forward. She would block off his escape routes, and then with this fist she would chip this demon down. It wasn't a mystery game, it was a fighting game all along. Yeah.
おや、いつも。
ようやく追い詰めたぜ。みんなを捕らえている場所はどこだ。クソジジイのいる場所はどこだ。洗いざらい喋ったら、そのヒゲをむしり取るだけで勘弁してやるぜ。
それは困ります。これでもセットに毎朝1時間をかけているのですから。
ギブスの世話になったら、それもできね
えな。おっ。
Renoa had blocked Jessica's lunged fist with his arm. He tried to act as though it was no big deal, but it must have hurt a lot. Jessica grinned. Renoa smiled the same way, but twitched slightly.
なるほど。これは確かに痛いですね。
最終勧告。泣いて詫びろ。
それはできませんね。キャラが崩れます。
なら、お前が崩れ落ちるといいぜ。鶴瓶打ちだ
！Jessica's iron fists were pounded into Renoa. But Jessica was startled. The impact felt wrong, and there was the sound of breaking glass. At a glance, it looked like Ronoe had caught Jessica's fist with his palm. That wasn't quite true. When Ronoe opened his hand, a faint purple glowing barrier like a glass shield appeared there, stopping the attack by a hair's breadth. Pulling herself together, Jessica struck out with her fists again, but with truly magnificent movements, Ronoe caught all of them.
悪魔ですなんて。
Of course you are. Everyone knows that yelling the name of the attack empowers it by 2 times.
この程度の魔法くらいは。それにしてもなかなかやりますね。人間だったら私はここで降参だったでしょう。悪魔だからまだ戦い続けることができる。
おかしな真似を。
それで終わりですか。攻撃を繰り出すばかりでご自身の防御がおろそかではありませんか。
Ronoe pounded his palm into Jessica's stomach, stopping abruptly just a fraction away. Jessica was repelled by the purple shield, tumbled backwards, and smashed her head on the bed.
人間ごときに私のシールドは破れませんよ。もう二度と私の体に触れることができると思わぬことです。
ならよ、そのシールドごとぶち抜いてやるぜ。
不屈な方だ。その根性。なるほど。次期当主として実にふさわしい。もう少しお相手させていただきましょうかね。これも試験官の役得です。
砕けろ
Gap looked down on George, sneering. He was lying face down in a puddle of the rose, on the rose garden path. The merciless rain beat down on him so that it looked as though even the heavens were mocking him. Yeah, sure.
立ちなさい。また落ちるわよ。
George stood up shakily. It seemed his spirit hadn't given in, but the damage to his body was fairly significant.
命乞いなさい。君のしていることは何も選ばない4番目の選択肢に同じ。君が選んだのは3番目の選択肢でしょ。両手両膝をついて詫びれば私への比例を許してあげるわ。そしたら君を地下牢へ案内してあげる。そこで君は愛するシャノンとできるわよね。その覚悟はあると。
George didn't answer, but his gaze was still obstinately resisting surrender.
あまり強情が過ぎると今度こそ奈落の底の底まで。
Gap's strength was undeniable. There was no doubt that Shannon's group watching through the three-sided mirror understood that, probably even more clearly than George himself.
庄司様、私なんかのために。
姉さん。
私のことなんて好きにならなければ、ジョージ様は誰とも戦わなくていいんでしょう。なら、私なんて捨ててください。忘れてください。
There was no way for that voice to reach George, but even so, George answered.
嫌だね。僕は屈服しない。
へえ、どうして？
それが僕の覚悟だからだ。僕はシャノンのために全てと戦う。そして全てに認めさせ、全てに僕たちを祝福させる。
ねえ、聞かせて。どうしてあのシャノンとかいう家具のためにそこまで言えるの？
Yeah, I guess no one has ever gone this far for you, Gap.
あんなのただの出来損ないじゃない。球児一つ満足にできないガラクタ家具だわ。
愛する女性への暴言を。僕はそれ以上許さない。
だったら何？ひ弱な僕ちゃんが私にどう抗うというのかしら。
人を愛するとは強さだ。それを知ったから僕は強くなれた。シャノン、僕は君を愛している。その言葉だけで僕は何度でも立ち上がれるんだ。
シャノンは力をよ。私に愛を語られても。
いや、伝わった。それが愛だからだ。シャノンには今僕の言葉が聞こえているよ。そうだと信じられることこそが愛だ。
Have I said how much I love cheese? Both the literal cheese and the figurative cheese, and this is the best of the best. Yes. Yes.
こいつ。
シャノン、君は家具なんかじゃない。家具だったとしても世界でただ一つの僕だけの家具だ。
Yes, yes, it's the best.
生涯僕と寄り添ってほしい。僕には君が永遠に必要だ。
焼けるわ。口説きならうちの人を超えたわね。
Ooh.
若さですな。
若さですな。Oh.
愛が強さなら坊やはどうしてそんなにひ弱なの？
Fuck off.
その弱さがつまり君の愛の程度なわけね。婚約者への愛もひ弱。両親のあっけない死に様もひ弱。君の人生は何から何までひ弱だわ。
Who are you to decide that?
シャノンは僕に愛と強さを教えてくれた。もし君が僕の強さだけでシャノンへの愛を確かめようというのなら僕の愛を教えよ
う。言うわね。なるほど。何度も蹴り倒されて転がされ、それでも立ち上がるのがシャノンからもらった強さだと。ならあっけなく殺されたあんたのお父さんとお母さんからは何をもらったの？
Suddenly there was a blackout. Outside?
違う。これは。
The thing blocking Gap's vision was the bottom of George's shoe.
側頭蹴り、尾骨骨折。
Because announcing it is how you do it when you find someone. Mario music, you mean what, Italian? Because I saw the name, it sounded Italian. True Rikishi writing, yes. Well, was it again that George's mother practiced? Eva? What?
母さんにもらったものはこの蹴りだ。
After several moments' delay, Gap jumped back. Oh, you mean in terms like a... yeah. I took the word practice completely differently. yeah, I remember now. She practiced martial arts, yeah. After several moments' delay, Gap jumped back. Of course, it was too late. If George hadn't stopped, he probably would have caused exactly the damage he had announced.
そして父さんにもらったのが忍耐力。
Anger with a low boiling point isn't something to be truly feared. True anger is cultivated through patience.
君の暴力的意思表示は理解した。また婚約者と両親への名誉毀損も理解した。そしてそれを撤回する気がないんだね。
こいつ。
君の攻撃はもう十分に理解したから、そろそろいいかな。反撃しても。
ほざくな、坊やの分際で。
A pitch black hole opened its mouth at George's feet. But George rapidly opened his legs, straddling the hole. The same move wouldn't work again. It was an extremely light dodge, and the upper part of his body didn't even quiver.
忍耐とは熱くならず冷静に相手の出方を研究することだ。何のために？決まってるじゃないか。わかるかい？反撃してきっちり借りを返し、二度とちょっかいを出したくないと思わせ、涙と鼻水で顔面をぐちゃぐちゃにして、それを拭うのを忘れて額を地面にこすりつけて、何度も謝りたくなるほどに完膚なきまでに叩きのめすためだよ。
George dashed. Pits opened one after another, but George would not step in them again. And because she persisted in that move, Gap was captured for a second time.
後ろ回し蹴り、顎部骨折。
It was stretched out more forcefully and beautifully than Gap's had been. Of course, while it centered directly on Gap's face, it stopped a hair's breadth away. Perhaps she couldn't rely on pitfalls at this close range. Gap kicked at George's shins as a diversion, and in the instant of weakness when he tried to deal with that, she aimed a kick at his stomach. It was a bee-like stab by her stiletto heel, but it sliced through the air where George was no longer.
上段かかと落とし。
We went from mystery to shonen real quick.
鎖骨骨折。
From beside Gap, George coldly announced that his foot still raised. If that monarch's heel had been swung down, a collarbone fracture would have been an understatement. Always has been. We fooled Nesmith reading Big Shonen. Hey, I read shonen things, okay? I like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer and stuff. I've read the manga, so... I'm good.
こいつ、資金じゃ私より強いの。
Now you understand why an Umineko fighting game exists. Okay, I see.
距離。
She jumped backwards to gain a large distance. She jumped and leapt and even backflipped, increasing the distance between them. Because that's what cowardly demons do. This should have been magnificent, but for some reason it looked very similar to the movements of a small, scared animal. If she opened the distance, she could fight at the range that was her specialty, using a mixture of pitfalls and kicking techniques. Ooh.
バカが私を倒せるチャンスを3度も逃した傲慢。奈落の底で後悔なさい。
Gap landed beautifully and tried to aim a pitfall when a razor-sharp wind cut her bangs. Yes, cut them. And twice. Alright. Ah, okay, interesting. And twice, this time it didn't just stop a hair's breadth away, but scattered her bangs with its air pressure.
アルマーダ・コン・マルテーロ第1撃で眼底骨折、第2撃で脳挫傷。
Gap was too shocked to speak. George had closed all that distance in an instant and let off a fearsomely nimble mid-air double kick. Discombobulate her, Georgie! Wouldn't we want that? Furthermore, with the accuracy and edge of a razor, it had cut nothing more than a few of her bangs.
空手で蹴りの威力を、テコンドーで速度、カポエイラでは自在の間合いを学んだ。
Ah, capoeira. Well, then that's Brazilian. Isn't that something that's okay?
母さんがいろいろと移り気でね。でもいろいろと特徴を学べて勉強になったよ。
私が女だからとでも言うのか。
君は王者の力として3つ目に暴力と言ったね。君はどうやらまだその暴力の意味を誤解しているようだ。この場合の暴力とはね、短絡的に振るわれる乱暴のことを言うんじゃない。敵対すれば無傷では済まないという抑止のことを指すんだよ。
I mean, I don't know. I think so. I think it is Brazilian. Or maybe I heard it in the wrong context and I drew the wrong conclusion. I'm sorry if I did. That was the point. That was why all of George's attacks up until then had stopped just before the blow. These bare misses, which were more difficult than hitting directly, had all been performed so splendidly. And any of them would probably have crushed Gap in a single hit if George had wished it. He was deliberately not doing that.
君も言ったろ。
The power of restrain.
暴力は滑る力だと。暴力で相手を破壊してしまったら滑られないじゃないか。王者の暴力とはね、見せるだけなんだよ。破壊しない、屈服させて自らの財産とするんだからね。君に泡でも吹かれたらみんなの囚われてる場所に案内させられないよ。
Gap had to admit it. She had to admit that George understood force in the truest sense.
みんなのところへ案内してもらうよ。抵抗はおすすめしない。もう寸止めはしないよ。
ごめんねリア。あんたの兵隊借りさせて。私一人じゃ手に負えないわ、こいつ。
Are we gonna get towers sprouting out of ground again? Ah no, we're getting the goat heads. We all know they are dumb. As a large pitch black hole opened in the sky, thunk thunk thunk, 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. But if they're here, that means they're not where the others are imprisoned. If it's the same goats, right? So then that creates an opening, an opportunity for them. Or am I overthinking it? I don't know. 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. They surrounded George.
増援会?
I don't want to hope for, like, every time I hope for something remotely related to that, my hopes get crushed, right? So I'm taking it easy. Hopium always wins.
それは僕がひ弱であることを撤回したと受け止めていいのかな。
あんたの人間の力を侮ってたわ。
違うね。これが愛を覚えた男の強さなのさ。
ほざけ！臭いこと。さあヤギたち、
Oh, sorry.
その男を潰して。このヤギたちはバカだけどパワーだけはあるみたいよ。あんたの死体婚約者にも見分けがつかなくしてある。
降伏拒否並びに継戦の意思了解した。以後は君の攻撃に等しい分だけ君に実害が及ぶ。僕をまだ攻撃するつもりなら相応の損害を受ける。
When George proclaimed that, a faint red magic circle rose up around him. But it seemed that George couldn't see it. However, Gap, being a demon, could.
魔法？どうしてこいつが防御結界を？しかもそれ反撃特化？それがあんたの抑止という意味。
From a demon's perspective, that might have been magic. But in George's eyes, it was determination. Yeah. It was absolute determination that would show no mercy to anyone who wished for further fighting, and forced them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Hate us, taters. I have reacted with intense delight and satisfaction at these demons being kicked in their butt. George's fight fills you with determination. Yes, exactly, exactly. I love Undertale. Yes. And so we're still in the midst of riding the adrenaline boost from that. But at the same time, I'm expecting things to take a sudden turn for the worse, because that's how it's always been with the humans when they fight back and they have badass moments. Then sometimes something gets introduced that kind of doubles on the magic. Like I'm not I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna introduce even more furniture that's like even more overpowered than the Chester sisters or whatever, just to put down the humans who dared to, fight back. So I'm expecting that to happen and my heart to be broken into a million pieces again. But up until then, I am enjoying this, so I'm riding the wave. Pretty much. Right, it was absolute determination that would show no mercy to anyone who wished for further fighting and force them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Absolute determination becomes magic.
Ha!
Ranoa had been accurately blocking Jessica's fists with the shield, but something felt odd. Even though he was certainly stopping the blows with the shield, he felt his arm beginning to strain and ache. All physical damage should have been shut off. However, the damage from her fists was gradually being transmitted to his arm and was accumulating. Ranoa acted like he was composed so that this wouldn't be noticed.
私はバテねえぜ。どうしたよ、おっさん。ちっとは答えてきたかよ。
いくら攻撃しようとも無駄ですよ。私のシールドはあなたには砕けないと。どう
砕けないからってよ。殴るのをやめはしないぜ。どんな固い心にだって言葉はわずかずつ響き、やがてはひびを入れることだってできるんだ。私は信じてる。この世に無駄な努力なんて存在しないってな。だから生きるんだろ、思いっきり。言葉だっていつか通じるなら拳だって同じってことだぜ。私の辞書には諦めるって文字は書いちゃいねえんだぜ。ふんふんてっ。
Those words were probably aimed at Kanon. Kanon had, technically, rejected Jessica's words. But Jessica knew that no matter how obstinate his heart was, those words would eventually soak through. And she believed that surely the day would come when he would understand her heart and stop calling himself furniture or a duck, please, and disparaging himself, and step out into his new life. So Jessica wouldn't give up. She wouldn't lose heart.
バカみてえだろ。男には理解できねえだろ。恋する乙女ってのはな、無駄だから諦めるって考えがねえんだぜ。
At that time, Ranoa certainly saw. He saw the red-hot burning glow of light surround Jessica's fists. What's wrong with ducks? Ducks are fine, but Kanon is not a duck.
参りました。
He's a human being.
エンチャントですか。
This is a throwback to a conversation that happened like way when he was talking to Jessica. I think, was it in episode 2? About him not, like, Jessica was trying to tell him that you're not furniture, and somehow it went to talking about ducks as a comparison for some. I forget exactly the details of it. But yeah, that it's a throwback to that. Ducks are great. I love ducks. There are a few ducks that are swimming on the river that crosses to my city, and whenever we walk to the supermarket, we walk along the river and we see them, and they're so absolutely adorable and cute. But It's not something against ducks, it's just Kanon's a human. He's not a duck. Or furniture. He's a domestic duck, a special duck. Okay. He said something like Donald Duck is my idol. What? Yeah. I forget how it got to the ducks. No, I love ducks. They're super adorable.
神道付与とは厄介な。
Okay, I guess you've embraced that now. For some reason, I don't know what I said wrong against ducks. Within her relentless fists and determination dwelt the power to succeed no matter what. From a demon's perspective, that was magic. Absolute determination becomes magic. Oh, sorry. My finger keeps sliding to the wrong button.
通ってんだろ。私の拳、腕をかばってるぜ。
もう少し本気を出さざるを得ないようですね。おっしゃる通りのようです。この世に無駄なことなどない。
Oh, thank you for the hydration. I still have a little bit of tea here. A regular chapter, solving Umineko with love. This chapter, solving Umineko with violence. Yes.
そうさ。無駄なんて諦めたら。
Now this
そこで人生が終わっちまう
is
ぜ。
what feels cathartic to me. Yes, please. Kick the demon's butts.
通じるんだよ。
Yeah, because he earlier said that it was useless, that he even if he cut the bars, they would run into bigger issues and stuff. So maybe this also makes him spur into action. There it is. Sometimes a good punch is all you want.
絶対に。
I'm an idiot, so this is the only way I can live. But even so, I believe that one day I'll definitely be able to teach Kanon-kun about a new world. So I'm not gonna buckle in a place like this. I'll definitely defeat you and save everyone.
くそ！なんとか隙間を。
Kraus was repeating his useless effort in trying to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. There's nothing useless. There's nothing. The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pits and disappeared. Yes, I was right. It was the same goats. They're not there anymore. Chance da yo. That was their do or die chance. There we go. This was their only chance to break the bars.
よせ、無茶だ。クラスでどうにかなるもんじゃない。
Come on, Kanon.
道具を探しましょう。無茶をするんじゃない。無駄と諦めたらそれまでと。娘に言われてしまった。
Yes.
私の体は無理でも、小柄なシャノン。
この段階に至っては、で力を合わせましょう。カノン君、男の子でしょ。手を貸して。カノン君。
Let's go, Kanon.
旦那様、下がってください。
Yes, yes.
何をする気だ。
いいよね。姉さん、もう一度だけ、あがいても。
うん。私も、もう一度だけあがくよ。一度だけじゃない。何度でも。
Jessica's voice had reached Kanon. It had certainly permeated into his stone-cold heart. And George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have to respond in the same way. An incredible metallic sound rang out. The first flash cut horizontally through several of the metal bars, and with the next flash they were cut through horizontally again, causing them to clatter to the ground like bamboo shoots cut by a sword. Klaus, Kitty, and Nanjo didn't even have a clue about what had just happened.
南條先生、お屋敷や廊下をどっちに？
左奥だ、左奥。
参りましょう。すぐにワルギリア様に気づかれます。
あんたたちは。 一体何なの？
僕たちは。
When Canon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke.
私たちは人間です。ワルギリア様
Good one. Yes.
警戒網に反応。脱獄です。なぜか見張りのヤギがいません。
We are human, yes.
え？どう
The
してです？
W is not confirmed though.
ガープですね。人主の乾物を勝手に。ガップ。
交戦規定確認。脱走者への射殺許可を申請であります。
おやりなさい。やっちゃいなさい。ガップ。
了解であります。45-410追撃狙撃戦準備。
Well, ain't that the sore spot for Virgilia? Oh my god.
男子収束誘導弾。ワルギリア様逃亡阻止結界を。
No, I did not.
そうでしたね。ここから逃がしはしませんよ。
She gave the impression that she's a being with more composure than that. But she's not. Oh well, we move on.
ガプ言ってたら舌噛みました。
She bit her tongue. As they ran down the underground passage, the path in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was, of course, locked. However, that was no problem for them now.
カノン、また鉄格子だ。頼む。
はい、旦那様。
しかしすごいわ。一体どういう原理なのかしら。
原理なぞ大事なのは彼に鉄格子が切断できてここから脱出できることだけだ。気にするなカノン、やれ。
お任せを。
Canon sliced the metal bars again with a red trail. But there was a harsh, strange noise and only a slight scratch was left on the metal bars.
なんとこれは頑丈な。
違う、エンチャントされてるワルギリア様の魔法錠だ。
切断できる。
もちろん。でも時間をかけるよ。
3分間待ってやる。
After taking a deep breath and focusing his concentration, Canon once again extended his sword that trailed red. When he pressed it hard against the metal bars, sparks sprayed almost as though he was burning through them with a blowtorch. Sorry.
切断はできそうだが手こずりそうだな。
旦那様、敵に捕捉されました。下がってください。
追って誰も来てないわよ。
私の後ろに下がってください。狙われてます。45データ治療。標的は捕捉。地形誤差修正。射撃曲線形成。制御点補正。410データリンク。410データ受領。危険区域確認。問題。
WO 師団装填48発。収束誘導弾準備完了。
45射撃準備完了。収束誘導弾装填。410にひひ射撃。
A golden arrow that sparkled gold was fired, leaving gold tail streaming behind. It drew a curve, went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs, toward the underground path at full speed.
何か光りましたぞ。
黄金の矢はシールドで防げない。カノン君、迎撃態勢リンクしよ
う。ゲートキーパー了解。姉さんと一緒に戦うのは久しぶりだ。動じらないでよ。
うん、本気でやる。
なら問題ない。
Canon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind, focusing deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow made up of 48 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini arrows. Because of course it does. The strength of each individual one is low, but they pierce through all shields and possess total lethality against ground troops. And on top of that, each one of the 48 possesses, autonomous guidance towards their individual targets.
分裂した。収束誘導弾分裂確認。師団46、7、8、48全弾捕捉。迎撃完成。カノンへデータリンク。
カノンデータ受領。姉さんの能力はすごいな。48発全部見える。
迎撃優先順位に注意。姉さんを信じて。
もちろんさ。僕は目を開ける必要さえない。
迎撃開始。
はあ。
目標健在。迎撃されました。
Wow, a shot of theirs that doesn't hit.
48発全部。
シャノンとカノンはもともと一組の家具ですから揃うと手強いこと。あいたたた。これ口内炎になっちゃうかしら。落ち着け。再装填弾種を変更。精密高速狙撃弾精密狙撃戦準備。
そりゃいいね。追撃不能の超高速弾。ゲートキーパーごときじゃ防御不能だに。精密狙撃戦了解。精密射撃用データ収集開始。
一体今のは何なんだ。
安心して。私にもさ、一つわかるのは二人に頼らなきゃ死んでたってことね。
カノン君ありがとう。鉄格子に戻って。多分次のは迎撃できない弾が来る。
そんな攻撃をどう防ぐんだ。
撃たせません。カノン君霊視線防備。
At those words, Canon closed his eyes tightly and clenched his teeth. With Shannon at the center, pressure and impact blasted out that could only be perceived by those not human. Nanjun didn't learn any of this in med school. Alright. The power of it before.
再起動。あれ
霊波妨害霊視防護急げ。
I see, I understand.
何をしてるか早く耳を塞げ。45
Which ears? The ones on her head or the ones on the side of her head? An unseen, unheard impact blasted towards the Chester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down, covering their ears, but 45 didn't make it in time. Still standing bolt upright, her eyes rolled inside her head.
45損傷。コンパイラのエンジンがいっちゃったよ。いや私もノイズがひどいに。
45、410、そして00損傷。狙撃戦を断念。リンクでもろに来た。再起動しないと。
Rabbit Abuse Part 2. I mean, I wouldn't call it abuse, I would call fighting back. Raising their spirit particle sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released, and not only 45, who had been hit directly, but also 00 and 410, who had been linked with her, were taken down. Thank you, Rikishi. Very kawaii. Tactical magic EMP. Yeah, good one.
大丈夫ですか？後でまた美味しい紅茶を入れてあげますからね。 しっかり。
申し訳ございませんであります。再起動をかけます。数百秒ほどお待ちを。
All of the Chiesto sisters collapsed. They would probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to the battle lines for a while.
家具が武具を一時的にとはいえ退けますか。なるほど。あの子の面白がる筋書きは実に大番狂わせが多いこと。
Virgilia toward the air with a large motion as though opening a door.
さあさあおいでなさい。ヤギの従者たち、お仕事の時間ですよ。脱走者たちを殺して捕らえなさい。死体でいいのですよ。どうせ蘇生できるし。
A gold-colored door opened in the air, and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out.
さあさあ急ぎなさい。脱走者は5人いるから5等賞までの早い者勝ち。素敵なご褒美がありますよ。さあさあ頑張って頑張って。
Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. Prize. After glancing at each other at those words, the goats rushed to the door at once, trying to get out, making the exit as tight a squeeze as the trains during the commuter rush. Each wanted to get out first. So none of them could get out. The goats are the goats. Yeah. Prize is cheese. Oh lord. Virginia held her head in frustration. By that time, Cannon had managed to cut just enough bars to make a gap that could be slipped through. It proved a bit of work for Kraus, large as he was, and Nanjo, whose waist was nearly his downfall. But even so... Oh, poor Nanjo, though. Oh. They all managed to make it through. The goats are about as smart as actual the best Umineko scene is near. Okay. Bring the calculator. What? But their relief at getting through was short-lived. Immediately, another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them.
厳重ね。よっぽどここの人を逃がしたくなかったんでしょ。
カノン、すまんがもう一度頼む。辛いだろうが頼む。
There was sweat on Kanon's forehead. You could tell at a glance that cutting the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, was exhausting him considerably.
はい。
お前にしかできん。どうか頼む。
Only he could do it. Holding tightly onto those words, Kanon concentrated his mind again and once more set himself to the task of cutting the bars.
後方、敵が来ます。複数。
ええ、今度は私たちにもわかるわ。すごい地響きね。とんでもない化け物が殺到してくるのがわかる。
ご安心を。今抜けた鉄格子を私が魔法杖で封鎖します。ヤギたちごときには破れません。
Shannon held her hand out toward the bars they had come through, but she stopped right away.
どうかしましたか？
ワルギリア様が霊波妨害の中和を開始。破られるとまずい。シエスタ姉妹の再起動後のイニシアチブを奪う。
可愛いウサギたちをいじめてくれたお返しはたっぷりとさせていただきますよ。
You murdered their families. You imprisoned them. You tried to snipe them and kill them. But it is them who are bullying cute rabbits? They may be cute, but they tried to kill them, and so they fought back. I see nothing against that. EMPing rabbits.
この小賢しい霊視で優位に立とうというなら、それを丸ごと剥ぎ取って。
いやいやいや。
姉さんは霊波妨害に集中して、あのヤギたちでその鉄格子の隙間は狭すぎる。しばらくは食い止めてくれるはず。
何を言っているかさっぱりだもん。
だいぶヤバいってことだけは理解できたわ。
Kiria picked up a metal bar that Kanon had just cut. Kraus had no weapon, but he rubbed his fist, and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from.
この鉄格子で遮るものはおしまいのはずだ。ここから屋敷までどのくらいあるんです？かなり歩く。道は平坦だが30分は歩いた記憶。
全力疾走ならその半分ってことだわ。
They couldn't tell for sure since they didn't have the three-sided mirror, but there was no guarantee that George and Jessica could hold out against demon opponents for all that time.
歩く2倍の速度で走れば15分。
I mean, you would be running through a fucking typhoon. It's not the same.
さらにその2倍で走れば8分を切るわ。
Okay, sure.
さらにその倍の全力疾走なら5分かかる。問題ない。
Okay.
むちゃくちゃな計算ですが。ですが、カジマの計算式は
that's why you meant the
そういう
calculator.
ものです。
申し訳ございません。後を頼みます。
任せたまえ。カノンは1秒でも早く鉄格子を。シャノンはワルギリアとかいう魔女への妨害に専念したまえ。追っては私とキリエさんで防ぐ。
Then the roars of beasts rang out from the darkness, and numerous fiery, glowing, bright red eyes appeared. The goats rushing towards them with thunderous force were several levels more massive than the guards had been. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. The power and terror was tremendous, but Kirie instead laughed with relief. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the gap in the bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a terrific sound like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling, and you could tell that the metal bars had buckled inwards. The force of their charge must have been no different from a train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they would undoubtedly have swallowed the five of them up and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressed up against the metal bars realized that the five were right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl, trying to intimidate the five. Although it was hard to tell whether that was really intimidation or because of the pain from being pushed and shoved. One calm goat among them figured out that it just needed to do something about the metal bars and grabbed two of them with its massive arms and began bending them as though opening double doors. Kiria sharply jabbed her metal pole at that goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. It probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down. Still holding the stuck-in metal pole, Kiria relinquished the opposite tip to Kraus. Kraus ran there with all his might, leapt into the air and kicked it in with all his weight and kicking power combined. Poor Congo. All of that destructive power was focused on that single pole and drilling it in.
The 幹部は揉まないように。お薬は後で処方しましょう。お大事に。
Is that sarcasm from Nanjo? Is that what it was? Nanjo is a person. As the goat who had taken a pile bunker to its vitals writhed with teary eyes, it nodded its head.
私たちのリンクも結構いけるじゃない。シャノンちゃんたちには負けられないわ。
当然じゃないか。私たちは仲良し一族だからね。
二人がかりでならいけるわ。次、右側のあいつ。
了解だ。いい嫁さんじゃないか。ルドルフめ。少し愚痴が多かったんじゃ。
へえ。後で聞かせてもらうわ。ルドルフさん、天国で青くなっても手遅れよ。
Right. We switched scenes back to George, I guess. The goat's massive body sank into the rose bush. Even taking into account that the leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, the strength surpassed common sense. That massive body, flying up and through the air from being kicked in the chin, it was too epic. Even George seemed a little surprised.
僕の蹴りが 化け物にも通用したとはね、驚きだよ。
あんたの反撃特化結界のせいよ。ブレイズした攻撃力をそのまま自らに上乗せしてる。あんたの蹴りにはその化け物どもの怪力が加算。
へえ、よくわからないけど僕にぴったりじゃないか。誰であろうとも攻撃してくるなら等しい反撃を覚悟してもらう。専守防衛、僕のポリシーそのものだ。
That's why Gap couldn't easily touch him. The counter-attacking type barrier had no defensive power. However, because of its counter-attacking characteristic, it could be useful in defense by making the opponent hesitate to attack. The goats were foolish, so they attacked without worrying. But the effect was being realized to the full against Gap.
こいつらは単調だね。パワーが互角であるならば小柄な方が有利だ。
He lightly dodged the log-like arm. When that arm touched the barrier that protected George, it let off a strong red light. And the tip of the foot that was counterattacking gained the same shine, and the superhuman power of the goat was added to George's own. Alright. The second goat fell forwards and floated in the air for a second. Then George's next roundhouse kick missed right over the falling goat's head. For an instant the goat hoped to get away with its life. But no, a heel was dropped onto the back of its head, and it was forced to kiss the ground.
上段回し蹴りからの練りチャギは基本だろ。たまにやると結構当たるよ。
Good one. Yeah.
こいつ厄介だわ。マジで厄介だわ。
何が悪魔だ、何が魔女だ。六軒島の主人はこの後ろ宮家だよ。それを体で教えてやるよ。
I approve this message.
こいつ。
The only way to finish off George now that his body was wrapped up in the counter-attacking type barrier was to not allow him a counter-attack. Next time she sucked him into the abyss, she would have to kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him, until she kicked him to death. But George had already perfected readying the faint warning signs that told of the appearance of Gap's pitfalls. If he managed to jump over that next pit, then this time he would probably pulverize Gap's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as had been done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. It was far too late now, but Gap cursed Kinzo all the same for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Ronoe finally started using both of his hands to form his shield. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to completely block Jessica's fists anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fists grew the more she fought. The permeation upgrade had already stacked several times, and those fists had also been given an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, and a speed upgrade, making them fists worthy to fight on par with the demon. Jessica RPG character, yeah.
ジェシカ様の動きと思考、動体視力が飛躍的にエンチャントされているのです。私の動きは最初から変わっていませんよ。あなたの動きが私を捉えつつあるのです。
それでも反撃はしねえわけか。
これが私のこだわりですので。しかしこのままというわけにもいきますまい。そろそろ本気で終わりにさせてもらいますよ。
Ronoe's face turned into an expression he had never shown before. It was truly demonic, and to Jessica's eyes full of respect, because it was an expression only shown to enemies strong enough to make him get serious.
なんだこれ。
With the whole body gesture that you couldn't call elegant, Ronoe set up a shield with all his strength, the size and thickness of a wall. Its sturdiness was nothing like a shield. It was literally a wall. And on top of that, with all of Ronoe's magical power, it pushed Jessica back bit by bit. Did he plan on pushing her back against the wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid.
今度はそうはさせませんよ。この壁は一味違います。どれ、私もエンチャントさせていただきます。
Ronoe made magic signs with his fingers almost like a ninja. The wall glowed red for just an instant and became imbued with some kind of ominous power. Almost immediately, Jessica also gained a first-hand understanding of this. Every time she pounded her fists against the wall, pain rebounded upon her, as though glass fragments had scattered and hit all over her body.
攻撃反応装甲を付与させていただきました。ジェシカ様の攻撃を相殺することで威力を減退させ、のみならず反応破片で反撃までできる優れ、殴り続けるのは大いに結構ですが、それは自らにも及びます。
つまりお前の壁と私の我慢比べってことかよ。上等だ。
I mean, I guess it's a low point to have fallen to if you need all of this against the human? A lowly human?
ジェシカ様が膝をつくのが先か、壁に押し込まれるのが先か、見物させていただきましょう。
打ち破ってこの壁ごとお前の横っ面をぶっ飛ばす方が先かもな。見てやがれ。
Without hesitation, Jessica slammed both fists into the wall. Each time she did, a large amount of shards scattered, tormenting her body all over. Countless red cuts soon appeared all over her body. She grimaced at the intense pain, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirit, and her lips curved in a grin exactly the opposite of the pain.
カノン、まだかね。私たちは平気だが、奴らを防ぐ鉄格子が平気ではなさそうだ。
もう少しです。
こいつらキリがないわ。おしくらまんじゅうだけで鉄格子を破りかねない。
The metal bars creaked under the strain of the groups of goats. Several arms grabbed the bars, twisting them with superhuman strength. However, some bars were being pulled in opposite directions by different hands. Apparently, they really were stupid. The way those countless hands were grabbing the metal bars happened to match up by chance. Several hands grasping two metal bars neatly put their power together and pulled the bars to the left and right, creating an opening. The incredible sound of metal bending could be heard, and that gap was getting larger bit by bit. They attacked the arms of those goats one by one, but they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't stop the gap from expanding left and right. A loud metallic sound came from behind them. Kanon had finally finished cutting.
早く。
キリエさん、レディーファーストだ。南條先生も続いて。
旦那様、ここは僕に任せてください。これは。
Oh no. Kanon's red sword, with which he had cut the metal bars, disappeared.
ごめん、バルギリア様の霊視線影響下に入った。私たちの魔力が中和されてる。
よくも大魔女と呼ばれた私にここまで抗ったものです。もはやその地下道ではあなたたちの魔法は使えませんよ。
Magic Circle Column drew complex magical formulae around Vigilia. With such full-fledged magic being used, Shannon's power couldn't even compete. All those music tracks are straight out of some epic JRPGs, I guess. On the contrary, it was surprising that she had withstood as much as she had.
霊視優勢を確保。さあシエスタ姉妹、今度こそあなたたちのでってなんで最近の子は寝起きが悪いの。
申し訳ありませんであります。私たち全員バージョンが違ってて。なんでバージョン変わるたびにショートカットとプルダウンがしっちゃかめっちゃかになるに。前回不正な終了がありました？管理者権限？何これわけわかんない早く直して。
この得体トラブルシュートにコール。何？ユーザーコードがないと教えない？
ユーザーコードは45が管理してるに。
Yeah, exactly that. She sounds like a Kikui from Skyward Sword. I swear.
9999にしか聞こえん。紙に書かせろ。
言語支援システム再起動できてないから文字も書けないに。
Rabbits use Windows. Yeah.
お前たちはゆっくり修理していない。私が行ってきます。
ごめんなさい。
Ay, 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 ay. I don't know, should I keep going for a bit longer? The narrow underground passage was packed with goats, truly like a commuter train in the morning. Originally I was again in disbelief at this congestion.
何をやってるんですか？
It goes on for a long while, yeah, I can see.
ご褒美が欲しいから一番乗りがしたい？他のヤギにご褒美を奪われたくないから邪魔をし合っている。
Alright, cool.
このおバカヤギたち
Let's let Virgilia make her entrance and then we save and yeah.
私が行きますから道を開けなさい。何？嫌ですって？ワルギリア様がご褒美を奪うつもりだ。
Ain't that working splendidly against her?
なんでスクラム組んでるんですか？
Okay, so she's not making her entrance then.
いつからここはヤギ専用車両に？
Virgilia is a non-cheesy.
今お尻触った子、次の駅で降りなさい。何あなた、こっちへ来いって。
Okay, I think this is good. We're back to the people in the group that were dashing through the passageway and stuff. Ah, the passageway is covered. Okay, I thought it was just gonna be like a road outside. Okay, got it. Or we can forgo sleep and read the best part. Nah, I need sleep. I'm waking up early tomorrow morning, so I think this is good. It's good. Next part is the one, yes. Always. Looking forward to the next episode already. Okay. The music is also right there. Okay, cool. Alright, then it sounds like a good stopping point. Yes, come. A Final Fantasy music, I guess, yeah. I guess it's intentional, right? There we go. Peak fiction. Peak gamified fiction, I guess. Something along those lines. Gup. Ay. Yeah. I don't know. This time I have no words. I just need a break. We went to cry and to laughing in a single stream, thanks to Umineko. Yeah. At least there's something beyond pain. I'm all for what's happening right now and following the three scenes, I guess, George, Jessica, and the group. But I'm incredibly curious where Butler's gonna come in. Because I would want that to be just this epic. Please, gods. Yeah. I guess we'll see. Yeah. Oh, tiredness. Yeah. All right. I will leave it here. Thank you so much for joining me for this crazy ride. And we will continue down this roller coaster next time. Yeah. No other words. That's it. That's all I have. Retreat to the nest. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah. Let's rest. We need to restore our energy so that we can spend it on getting excited or upset or sad or whatever other emotions next episode makes us but like next stream makes us experience. So yeah, for now, night night. Thanks so much for joining me again. Take care and see you Thursday again. Bye.